What is up, y'all? What is up, y'all? What is up, y'all? Good evening, everyone. Looks like we got a few people in the room. Thank you for being here on this evening. Happy to see you all. Feel like it's been a month of Sundays. Look, we got Blue Sky's mom in the building, and oh my goodness, she has a wrench next to her name, y'all. What is going on? Bernie Miranda, thank you for being here. Lisa Akins is in the house. Oh my goodness, she has a wrench next to her name. Thank you all for being here. I won't be before you long. Miss V. Laura is in the building. Jamie Wright is in here, a member of this channel. Thank you so much for your support. And there are more wrenches coming, y'all, just so you know. These are supporters who have been around for a while, who have proven themselves to be true supporters in this chat. Every time I go live, they're always here. They're always contributing. And you don't have to be a member of the channel to be a moderator, to have a wrench next to your name and be able to kind of help me as I go along and police this chat room. We had somebody kind of jump in on Good Friday and try to disrupt things, but we were able to handle that situation quickly. I'm glad I saw it. Ms. V. Laura, another supporter, has said, what does the wrench mean? It just means that you are a moderator in the chat and you have the ability to kind of police things and help me out as I try to bring these stories to you. And I appreciate the help. I appreciate the support from each and every one. There's more wrenches coming, y'all. Trust me, there's more wrenches coming. I will be quick tonight. I got one quick story that I came across because we're in an election year. And you've heard me talk about this several times. I apologize for not coming up sooner. We've talked about the things that are coming in this election year. We know that things are going to get crazy. Things are going to get wild. And they've already been wild even up to this point. It's been interesting. If you're a news junkie like myself and you watch how these things unfold, it's been pretty crazy. But it seems that there may not be a limit this year. It seems like things might go over the edge, y'all. It's unfortunate. But when you look at where the left is going and what they're putting out into the atmosphere, it seems like it's no holds barred. It seems like they're down to do anything necessary. When you look at the right, it seems like they may be a little softer and want to play by the rules. But if they do, they might get rolled over this year, the way things are looking. But I wonder, the way that things are unfolding, how are the churches going to respond? Did any of y'all go to church on Resurrection Sunday? We got Darth Raider in the building. Thank you for being here. Anybody sit down in church on Sunday? What was your preacher talking about? Was it a simple, classic message of the death and the resurrection, or did they go somewhere else? Did your pastor of your church, your designated speaker, did they introduce something else on Resurrection Sunday? Was it a little different in 2024? Lee Coggle's in here. Thank you. Faith Jarman is in the house, and Tanya Haskins, thank you for being here. Tanya says she was at church. What did your pastor preach about? Was it a classic message, or did it just have a little taint, a little taint of politics mixed in there? Lisa Akins say, no, he stuck to the topic. Good on him. Because it seems like these politics are creeping into the sanctuary. And we're going to have to deal with it. And it's going to tell you where your pastor falls. And we know, y'all, we've said it, I've heard it since I was a kid in church. The anointing flows from the head. So we can judge your church based on what that head has to say. And this video that I'm introducing here tonight has a couple, well, 3 pastors out of Jacksonville, Florida. Any Floridians in the house? These brothers come out of Florida and they're talking about issues that are left-wing issues. And I understand they're in an interview setting, so they have to answer the questions that are thrown at them. So the interviewer is partially to blame about for this, but the way they answered the questions and the way they responded to those questions. Tanya Haskins is in Orlando. Okay. Not too far from Jacksonville. What, a couple hours? Bernie Miranda's in Wisconsin. I'm going to let y'all go. It's not going to be too long because, look, I haven't eaten. And all of the health instructors and health educators say that you should not eat dinner past 6 o'clock. That's what they say. So I'm going to try to get y'all out of here because it's 5:23 West Coast time. And I hope that y'all who are on the East Coast and in the Midwest, like Wisconsin, I hope y'all have eaten already. I hope you're not waiting on me to finish and then go eat a big plate of something and go lay down on it. Don't do that. I've been guilty of that myself. Trying to do better, y'all. Pray my strength. Please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet, but these Jacksonville preachers in this interview were asked about topics concerning the alphabet community, concerning feminism. And I'm not sure, y'all, even as I sit here, how much I want to hear about that over the pulpit. I've been fortunate and blessed to have preachers who were creative in their covering of these issues. They were careful not to offend, but sometimes you got to call a spade a spade. Sometimes you got to talk about the issues that are occurring in your congregation. You have to address the concerns of the people. That's what a good shepherd would do. You have to mind the flock, do you not? Y'all, let's play through this video. I'm going to share it with y'all. And we'll talk about it on the backside and see how y'all feel about this. Faith says, my mom hates Donald Trump. It's so hypocritical. Faith, I've seen this type of comment so many times. I've been called MAGA. I've been called a Trumper. I've been called so many things. I don't hate Donald Trump because I don't know Donald Trump. And with all due respect to your mom and folks who think that way, I just think it's kind of weird that you could hate a man so much that you don't know. That tells me that you've fallen for a media narrative. And I think that's so unfortunate that we feed on these media narratives and we absorb this stuff and we begin to internalize it. And after we internalize it, we begin to regurgitate it and try to impress that stuff upon other people around us. And it's just weird. Nah, I don't hate the orange man. I don't know the orange man. I judge a president by his policies. I don't hate Joe Biden. I judge Joe Biden by his policies. I think he's making a mess of things. I'm here in California. I judge the governor of this state by his policies. I think he's making a mess of things. So many businesses are about to close. Going to shutter their doors because he raised the minimum wage for fast food workers. Now your dollar menu is going to be a $5 menu. And they still going to get your order wrong when you pay them $20 an hour. And they still going to serve you cold fries that have been sitting there all day when you pay them $20 an hour. But there are more nefarious entities at work. You got the big unions who want to unionize fast food workers who are pushing for these policies that the governor signs because he's in bed with these folks. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Because when the union looks and sees tens, hundreds of thousands of fast food workers in the state, They looking at, yo, if we could get them in the union, can you imagine the dues we could make them pay? Can you imagine how we could enrich the union based off of their dues? We need to get politically active. We need to work with this legislature that we've bought off and push some legislation through that the governor will sign. And here you have these business owners, these franchisees saying, nah, we got to shut down. Now we got to cut half our staff. Yeah, we got to put some kiosks out in the front. We got to get some robots back here to cook these hamburgers. Because the maintenance on the robot is cheaper than the salary of a big staff at $20 an hour. Said all that to say, got a little sidetracked there, sorry. But I said all that to say that it's about policy, not about person. Joe Biden, the racist, segregationist that I've been following for decades now. Man is not new to politics, so we have a track record that we can look upon and see. Joe Biden didn't like your black kids. Joe Biden was friends with KKK members. Grand Masters, to be exact. Grand Wizards. I'm sorry, Grand Wizards. These were friends of Joe. Joe supported policies that were anti-black. Joe gave Justice Clarence Thomas the business during his Senate confirmation. We were there, Joe. We were young at the time. That was long ago. But I remember how that black man was attacked in his confirmation hearing. And one of those attackers was that Senator Joe Biden. We're not even going to talk about his age. We're talking about his policies. We're talking about things that he supported. So when you say that your mother hates the orange man, okay, I get it. But I'm going to ask you why. If you tell me you hate him, I'm going to ask you why. And I hope that you give me some policy reasons and not some Democrat talking points that you've heard in the media. Some of the Democrat talking points that these pastors seem to support. Now, let's get into it. I'm sorry I went there, but politics is kind of my thing. Give me 1 second here to pull this up, and we're going to get into what these preachers talking about here. Come on, preach, preacher.
On this Good Friday, 3 prominent faith leaders here in Jacksonville, Bishop Rudolph McKissick Jr., Bishop John Guns, and Pastor R.L. Gundy sit down for a candid conversation about the state of the Black church and bridging generational divides.
For me, the African American church has always been the bedrock of everything within the community.
Historically, Black churches have played pivotal roles outside the realm of religion. In the historic sanctuary of Bethel Baptist Institutional Church, a meeting of the minds.
It is the place where certain needs were met that systems did not allow.
The name institutional, a signal across the country during a time of segregation. Churches bearing that name were safe havens where Black people could go for job training when regular schools were not an option.
The Black church, I believe, is here to provide a place where the soul of America can be saved.
And as faith leaders work to welcome members old and new, research shows an exodus of millennials and Gen Z.
They just want to hear the truth. One, they want the church to be inclusive, diverse, and address the issues of race, sexual orientation.
Bishop Guns and McKissick, do you guys address race and sexual orientation in your church?
I think you have to.
Okay.
Pastor Gundy just said it so powerfully. You have to realize that you have everything in your church.
On the topic of homosexuality, 62%, the majority say homosexuality should be accepted.
And I say to the LGBTQIA+ community, you know, my message is my message. I'm not going to bash you, I'm not going to do anything, and I'm going to love you. The question is, can I have a theological difference with you and still love you, and will you allow me to be your pastor?
Sexism and a lack of trust are among the list of reasons this study shows younger generations are leaving the church.
Something that was touched on is the fact that women aren't in leadership roles as they should be.
The Black church, by and large, has participated in disenfranchisement.
Oh, yeah. We have been a part of oppressing our own people.
Which is why we aren't trusted.
The church's relevance is in question. Bishop Guns believes a reminder of its value is on the way.
You know, we're about to have an election that's going to be traumatic for this country. It's going to be the stability of institutions like the Black church that's going to navigate people whose voices are being muted by inequitable policies and practices. It's going to be this here that gets us through it.
If you'd like to look at the details of the Pew Research study, Faith Among Black Americans, we've added a link to this story on the First Coast News app. And you could check out this conversation with Bishops McKissick, Guns, and Pastor Gundy in its entirety on First Coast News Plus. It's called The Revival, streaming on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Y'all make sure you check out the entirety of the interview, because I don't want to mischaracterize anything that these preachers are saying, but this clip seemed pretty informative to me. Fisher of Men says, wrong, it's about person. Did you say that with Bill Clinton? Fisher of Men, I'm not going to argue politics with you tonight. I'm not here to do that. You must be new here. I haven't seen your name before, but we don't argue politics. You're free to feel how you feel. But I don't think it's about person. And if it was, I could play you a clip right now where Joe Biden said nigger in a Senate hearing. You think I forgot? You think we should forget? That word came out his mouth. I hope it doesn't offend you, because I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just trying to be real about the history of the situation. We have 50 years of history of this man in politics. We know who he is. We know him well, even though at this point, we don't believe that it's him running anything at this point. I don't believe he ties his shoes in the morning. But if you want to make it about person, I'd rather have a person who gets out of my way and allows me to praise my God, uninhibited, uninterrupted, unobstructed, than someone who stands in my way and prefers devilment over my freedom to worship God as I see fit. Someone who would come out on Resurrection Sunday and make a proclamation that is diametrically opposed to my faith. Is that the person you speaking of? That person? No, I want to vote that person out. Sorry if that don't sit well with you. And those people in the chat who have wrenches, we are not opposed to disagreement in the chat. We welcome disagreement. It's all good. Don't be overly aggressive, y'all. When we police the chat, we just want people to be respectful. And if we can respectfully disagree, we good. Everybody good. Adventure AI is in the building. Thank you for being here. Isaac Tariq, thank you for being here. These preachers, these pastors, they said they think it's necessary to address the alphabet people in your church. They didn't say how they're going to address it, though. I noticed that was absent in the interview, and I understand how these things work in the edit. It may have been cut out, so we're going to give these preachers the benefit of the doubt. But how you going to address it? How they conveniently edited the rainbow flag in this video. I get it, but you know what that rainbow flag is not? It's not a rainbow. You know what your rainbow pictures are not? It's not a rainbow. That flag is a flag. It's a reproduction. It's a caricature. But what it ain't is a rainbow. So pastors, if you're going to preach about that rainbow, I hope you keep it real. I hope you keep it biblical. I hope you get it right. Pastor said in the interview that you're supposed to address these sexual issues. Now, like I said, y'all, the interviewer threw that out at them. So I guess they're obligated or obliged to respond to that issue since it was thrown their way. But I don't know that I need my pastor to address that head on. It is so divisive. It is so controversial. I don't know that I need you to speak on it over the pulpit. Maybe if you have some counseling sessions, maybe if you have some classes, maybe if you have some Bible study. But I think that the way that it is addressed in a church setting has to be strategic. Dwan Dow says, spiritual sellouts, church leaders. I'd rather get my sermons on YouTube than these lukewarm social clubs, churches. No growth, no convictions, no learning of God's holy word. Wow. I think these preachers are trying to strike a balance, even with what they're saying here. I watched it and I tried to empathize, try to put myself in their shoes. And they're talking about the divide between the old and the young, the generational divide, and the amount of millennials and Gen Z who say they are rarely or never going to church on Sunday. And these pastors seem like they're doing some spiritual gymnastics to try to lure them in by addressing issues that they think they're concerned with. But if you just stand in your pulpit and call yourself addressing those issues, they're not going to come walking through that door. The man said at one point in this video, the church used to be a pillar of the culture. It used to be a place where you can go and get things that weren't available to you in society. You can come to the church and get some education because you weren't allowed at the schools. They were segregated. What you gonna do? Go down to the church, get you a skill or two, learn a trade from one of them old deacons who are already there and already know how to weld, already knows carpentry. We'll let you sit up under them, just like musicians sit up under musicians. You have an apprenticeship, so to speak, and you learn those things. Well, we can blame not these preachers per se, but we can blame the church as an institution. You see, they noted that a lot of these churches were called institutions back in the day. Well, we can blame that institution for turning away from those old habits that it once had. What is the church teaching now? Any skills? Is the church feeding anybody who's hungry? Is the church going out? Look, there are churches, y'all, that if you walked around the community and asked the people who live in the surrounding blocks, they would tell you they didn't even know it was a church there. Where's the outreach? Where's the community presence? That's why I asked you what your preacher preached about on Sunday. I'm curious to know what they talking about, because these brothers here, yeah, they talking good about the history. You're aware of what the church used to do. But if you understand that society has changed and we are in a political battle this year in 2024, if you understand that the landscape is different, then you should understand that the church's approach should be different, should be modified, should still be focused on the same things of the past, because the word of God don't change. Old folks used to say it's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Stand on that. But you might have to modify your approach, because these young people aren't there for it. But you have to understand why these young people are being inundated with media sources, and they seem to be falling for it. in droves. Unprecedented numbers. Young folks falling by the wayside. Young folks smoking stuff, injecting stuff, drinking stuff, and just living life like it's a party. Ain't studying nothing, ain't reading nothing. A lot of them can't read. What are we to do with them as we get up and we preach this gospel every Sunday? Well, if the young folks ain't there, and that's what the reports are saying, that's what this woman is reporting to these black preachers, if they not coming to you, well, you only got one option, sir. You got to go to them. You got to go to them. You got to find a way. And I've seen some great preachers, some preachers that I know are well read and studied and learned. Master's degrees, doctorate degrees in theology. They know the book. They can recite it to you. They can talk the talk and they walk the walk. But when it came time to switch during the pandemic, and they were forced to go online on this platform, as our brother stated a short while ago, how he prefers the online preachers and online churches. I know some brothers who were good preachers. They got online and they weren't well versed in technology, and it didn't work out. So I haven't checked on some of them in a while. I'm sure if I looked at them now, it's probably still not working out because they're old school. And it takes some learning to get up to speed on this technology, to learn the demographics, to learn the algorithm. Look, I'm fighting with the algorithm now, y'all. Like the video, share it. So we ain't got to fight with this algorithm and deal with all those things on the back end. Don't cost you nothing to like it. But I understood as I saw some of these preachers who I admire, who are still fighting with this, trying to get their message out, trying to get a positive message, trying to get a word out on this platform that doesn't prefer certain kind of talk. Now, some of you who've been here for a while, you've seen me go live over the last couple weeks. Every time I go live on this channel, it's demonetized. Whether I share something with y'all or whether I just sit here and speak for an hour, and then I have to go back to the YouTube gods with a little g and request a manual review because I think y'all got it wrong. And then they come back and say, oh, yeah, I guess we did. You're okay. 3 days later. We fighting with the platform. And I talk to other YouTubers. I know that other folks are going through the same thing. We expect it to get worse because this is a political year, y'all. The forces are coming out. They're not holding back. They're attacking any message that is antithetical to theirs. But we're going to keep talking it. We're going to keep living it. We're going to keep demonstrating it. I hope y'all stay educated and stay aware. She asked him, do you address sexuality in your church? Well, how would you address sexuality over your pulpit? Without offending these young folks who feel like everything is everything. Like anything goes. These young folks who are so uncouth these days and so reckless. That's why they got diseases of all sorts. In these generations, these millennials and Gen Z. Diseases like never before, y'all. Sexually transmitted. How do you address that over the pulpit? Well, you could preach against fornication. You could preach against adultery. But has that ever worked? Has that message ever worked? Even as I sit here, y'all, I was a father at 16 years old. Is that the message? Diana Clark says, Chops, you are awesome truth teller. I'm trying to tell the truth. Diana, thank you for your support and thank you for being here. Does that message work? Can we get up there and say, y'all be abstinent in 2024? Y'all folks who are uneducated, y'all folks who are drunk half the time and high the other half. How do we address them, y'all? How do we touch on these issues from a church standpoint? I'll tell you how I think it to be. Excuse me, y'all. It's kind of warm in here. The weather is changing. Let me put my fan because my glasses are kind of fogging up. Tell you how I would address it. If it were me, allow me to say that, y'all but can I put myself in these brothers' shoes? If I were a pastor, because I tell y'all all the time, I ain't no preacher, I ain't no prophet, I ain't no evangelist, I ain't no bishop, I ain't none of that. Look right there. Oops, wrong way. There. My name's Gerald. That's all I am. It's just Gerald. If it were me, I would get my hands dirty in the community like never before, y'all. I would reach out and touch these young people like never before, such that I gained a level of trust. You got to earn their trust. You can't just get up and preach over them every Sunday and beat them over the head with a Bible. You have to gain their trust. You can't be that distant pastor that has 10,000 members and 4 services on Sunday and you don't even know your member's name. You can't be that. Man, you better get out them 4 walls and get out in the hood and touch somebody. You better put a barbecue pit in your parking lot and smoke up the neighborhood to where them kids on them bikes and skateboards come running and they say, hey, how much is the food? It's free for you, brother. Come eat. Come sit down at the table. You can trust us. We here in the neighborhood trying to do a good work. Matter of fact, where's your mama? She hungry? Send her on by. Y'all, you have to gain the trust of the people. You can't just beat them over the head because they're not listening to you 24/7. You know who they listening to 24/7? Sexy Red, Cardi B, Meg the Stallion, Drake. Yeah. They looking at folks like P. Diddy, wishing they could get an invite to a P. Diddy party. That's where these kids are. You got to cut through all of that foolishness, and you're not going to be able to do it if you stay within those walls and don't get out, reach out and touch somebody on a personal level to where you can wrap your arms around a kid and say, hey, you've been coming over here for a few weeks. Can I talk to you? Where's your mom? Where's your dad? What's the situation? Understand what they're going through, because a lot of these kids are going through a lot. And we look at them like, oh, they're just deviant. Oh, they're just bad. No, some of these kids are going through some trauma like you ain't never seen in your life. And we got to be able to relate to that. We got to be able to understand what they're going through. And we have to be educated ourselves. Y'all, can you imagine? Can you imagine being let me be nice, being an uninformed, uneducated preacher, pastor who just get up there and hoop got a good hoop, can sing a little piece because he used to be an organist when he was growing up. You know how that go. They grow up as organists and musicians in the church, and at some point they are called and they never let anybody know. In the future, they'll never let you know that they used to play. That's the matriculation in the black church. But somehow, once they get behind that podium, they don't want you to know that they used to be a musician. Reginald Rico, thank you for being here. We see you. Thank you. It's going down. Bernie Miranda understands what I'm saying tonight. You have to be able to get in touch. And these brothers here, I know no shade to these brothers. They look like some elderly OG pastors. I ain't mad at them. They've been successful. I've heard their names before. But when you see society changing, the church must also change in certain ways. That don't mean you got to change the word. Now, this is what bothers me about this little video. It sounds like they're trying to alter their approach to what they preach. Nah, man, the word is the word. And I heard one pastor say, he gonna preach his gospel. I hope he's standing on what he's talking about. And I hope he meant it the way that I received it, that he gonna stand 10 toes down and preach the gospel. Do that. Understanding that some folks are not going to be so receptive in these new generations, because I think that's the gap that this interviewer was trying to bridge. Lisa Aiken says, not my pastor. He'll pick up that guitar every now and then. You better go, pastor. You better pick up that guitar. I love to see it. I love to see it. But there are a lot of preachers and bishops and folks who have risen through the ranks of the church who don't talk about their musicianship. I mean, I've been around musicians for the last 20 years. I've lived it. I've been with these dudes. I've studied them. I've talked to preachers who didn't want to address this issue in particular on camera. Bishop Charles Blake, presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ. I'm sorry, former presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ. Didn't mention that he was an accomplished pianist, organist. The man could play. Never brought it up. A lot of times, Nelson Wright says, preach the gospel and stand back and watch the Lord change lives. Absolutely. Stand on it. Preach it. Don't back down from it. Yes, sir. Vanessa Warner says, my pastor, we believe in getting our hands dirty. You got to do it, Vanessa. How else you going to reach them? You going to go to church every Sunday and wait for them to walk in? Well, the statistics are showing, as we saw in this interview, that the folks aren't coming in at the rate that they used to. These younger generations are not just wandering. Look, when I was a kid, y'all, I'd be in church. I'd be in church almost 7 days every week. As the son of a pastor, we were always in Bible study, revival, worship service. I mean, we were always at church. And someone would always wander in that church. Seemed like there was always whether they be drunk, whether they be a streetwalker, a woman of the night, somebody would always hear that music thumping because we was loud, y'all. This black church, you could hear us down the street. And it seemed like it was an attractant. Like it would just draw the people in on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, midweek. You just be in there. They make us go to the back pew and do our homework. And when you finish that homework, you come up front and get in service. That's what it was. But there always seemed to be somebody who'd wander into that service. The spirit was high. It would attract and draw the people just by the hearing. Well, these statistics are telling us now that that's not the case anymore, and these young folks is turning away from that, which means we have to change our approach. Y'all, can I play this one more time? It's 6 o'clock. 9 o'clock for y'all on the East Coast. I want to play this one more again for y'all who have came in and may not have seen this video that we played in the very beginning. I want y'all to catch what we're talking about so you can understand what these preachers were putting down. I hope you pick it up with some discernment and understanding, y'all. Let's be understanding about this. I'm not trying to go too heavy and hard on these preachers because I understand editing. And some of their answers may not have been fully revealed in this video. That's why I encourage y'all. She gave the information at the end. Y'all can go check out the video. Let's play this. Here we go, y'all.
On this Good Friday, 3 prominent faith leaders here in Jacksonville, Bishop Rudolph McKissick Jr., Bishop John Guns, and Pastor R.L. Gundy sit down for a candid conversation about the state of the Black church and bridging generational divides.
For me, the African American church has always been the bedrock of everything within the community.
Historically, Black churches have played pivotal roles outside the realm of religion. In the historic sanctuary of Bethel Baptist Institutional Church, a meeting of the minds.
It is the place where certain needs were met that systems did not allow.
The name institutional, a signal across the country during a time of segregation. Churches bearing that name were safe havens where Black people could go for job training when regular schools were not an option.
The Black church, I believe, is here to provide a place where the soul of America can be saved.
And as faith leaders work to welcome members old and new, research shows an exodus of millennials and Gen Z.
They just want to hear the truth. One, they want the church to be inclusive, diverse, and address the issues of race, sexual orientation.
Bishop Guns and McKissick, do you guys address race and sexual orientation in your church?
I think you have to.
Okay.
Pastor Gundy just said it so powerfully. You have to realize that you have everything in your church.
On the topic of homosexuality, 62%, the majority say homosexuality should be accepted.
And I say to the LGBTQIA+ community, you know, my message is my message. I'm not going to bash you, I'm not going to do anything, and I'm going to love you. The question is, can I have a theological difference with you and still love you, and will you allow me to be your pastor?
Sexism and a lack of trust are among the list of reasons this study shows younger generations are leaving the church.
Something that was touched on is the fact that women aren't in leadership roles as they should be.
The Black church, by and large, has participated in disenfranchisement.
Oh, yeah. We have been a part of oppressing our own people.
Which is why we aren't trusted.
The church's relevance is in question. Bishop Guns believes a reminder of its value is on the way.
You know, we're about to have an election that's going to be traumatic for this country. It's going to be the stability of institutions like the Black church that's going to navigate people whose voices are being muted by inequitable policies and practices. It's going to be this here that gets us through it.
If you'd like to look at the details of the Pew Research study, Faith Among Black Americans, we've added a link to this story on the First Coast News app. And you could check out this conversation with Bishops McKissick, Guns, and Pastor Gundy in its entirety on First Coast News Plus. It's called The Revival, streaming on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. In the Information Center, I'm Keitha Nelson, First Coast News, on your side.
Sorry, y'all. I was muted. Black Collar King says saving the soul of America is definitely a stretch. I have to agree. Duck Pencils let me know I was muted. Thank you. But I think a couple things these preachers were saying was a stretch. It seems like they were trying to toe the line a bit, like straddle the fence a bit, like they were lukewarm. The man said, you have to understand that there's some of everything in your church. Well, what are you saying, sir? The gospel applies to everyone and everything. Just preach it. Don't bend it. Because some folks you saying always been there. Now you got these new folks that's in there. So you recognize that everybody's in here. Are you going to bend it for the new people who weren't always there? Because you got to recognize that there's some new people, y'all, that have popped up in recent years that wasn't always here in the iteration that they are today. Now, some of these spirits have always been around through generations. They've been here. Some of these evil spirits, some of these behavioral and sexual demons have always been around us, but they are more bold than ever now. They're more present than ever now. They are more out and about than ever now, and will walk right up into your church and challenge you as you deliver a word. Are you going to stand on the word, or are you going to bend for these people in the millennial generation and Generation Z, as they noted in their statistics that they showed in this little video? Didn't seem to me, y'all, like these pastors were speaking too strongly. It made my red flags go up, that's for sure. The man said, voices being muted by inequitable practices. Boy, if that ain't left-wing political speech, I don't know what is. Voices being muted by inequitable practices. Whoa, Pastor. That sound like Democrat talking points, sir. I wish they would have let him go deeper into that so I could have had some clarity on exactly who he was talking about. But, you know, we have examples in left-wing politics. If we study that and look into that, we can understand where he's going, because his talking points aligns with their talking points. And when you get to talking about equity and inclusion, Pastor, I think you might be leaning in the wrong direction, especially in 2024. You sound similar to some other folks to me, Pastor, when you pull out words like equitable practices. What? Whoa, Pastor. Are you equating these old mothers who done been through something, who done leaned on God? Say, God is my leaning post, y'all. He done held me up when I almost fell. These mothers who've been around, who held these families, these generations down. Are you equating these mothers with these young purple-haired alphabet people? Well, you can equate them in the sense that every soul is important to God. But I need you not to equate their activities, their carnality, with those who are saints of God. I need you not to equate that. I think Psalm Courier understands what I'm trying to say tonight. I hope y'all getting it. I hope you're receiving it like I'm trying to speak it. One of my degrees is in communication studies, and I understand that effective communication deals with submission, reception. I have to send a message to you. And effective communication requires you to receive that message the exact way that I meant it, the way that I intended it, not for it to be obscured. A lot of things get lost in translation, as they say. So I may send it a certain way and you may receive it a different way. That is not effective communication. I need you to get it exactly like I'm trying to convey it. Otherwise, we ain't got effective communication. So I hope that when I come on here before y'all, you pick up what I put down. That's the goal. Song Courier says, it's muddied up the water. They cloud the water. We don't want no cloudy water in 2024, but it seems like there's going to be so many forces out here who try to cloudy up the water, who try to put smoke in the atmosphere so that it clouds our decision making. We got to stay prayed up, y'all. Prayed up, y'all. Jerry G's in the building. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your support. We got to stay prayed up, y'all. Vanessa Warner says, message received. Appreciate that. I try my best. I try my best. I hope y'all got them from this video that I shared tonight. These Jacksonville pastors seem to me, and maybe it's just me, I'll accept that if it's just me, but it seems like they're a little lukewarm. It seems like they're trying to address these modern issues of today that ain't got nothing to do with the gospel. I grew up around old saints. And when those old saints were having worship meetings and revivals and prayer meetings and all of that, y'all, them alphabet folks still existed. They were there. We always had a choir director in the black church. You could always depend on the choir director if nobody else. Didn't nobody say nothing, but everybody knew that one choir director, something about him. Nelson Rice says, I'm smelling what you're stepping in. Lord, let me clean my shoes off, Nelson. Y'all, these issues have always been around. But the devil is more bold now than ever before. And Lisa Aiken said, that tambourine player. Can we keep it real, Lisa? That man in the soprano section singing falsetto. Oh, they've always been around. So don't tell me in 2024, Pastor, that we got to give them some leeway to take over the situation. No, we ain't doing that. No, if that's what you own, it's the wrong church. Because you bending over for the wrong people. How about you bend over and support the saints of God, sir? How about you just preach the word and let God do the work? How about you get out this hot, musty building that smell like chicken from downstairs in the kitchen and go out into the community and help somebody? Because that's what it's going to take to win these kids. They've heard a lot. They've seen a lot. They've been through a lot, and they don't trust y'all like that. So you got to do the work to earn their trust. And you know what? You never know what these kids is going through at home. You might be able to step into a situation and be a light in a dark home. To be a light in a dark life. You don't know what these kids going through. And you can't expect them, if they're going through something heavy, you can't expect them to just get up and say, I'm going to go down the street to that church. No, bro, you 10. What you mean you going to go down the street to the church? Now, some of them may be in situations so bad that the parents don't even care. The mama is out somewhere, the daddy is in prison, and the kid might have the authority to actually walk in your church on his own recognizance. Yeah, you might find those situations, but they might be rare. I'd rather let the saints of God make the effort and go down there and say, hey, we got a van. We can come pick your kid up. He ain't even got to walk. We make sure he get there safely. We'll teach him something. We'll feed him real good, and we'll bring him back to you. And he won't get on your nerves because we'll make sure his belly is full. So he won't be begging you, talking about, mama, I'm hungry and ain't nothing in your house but popcorn and water. Y'all better stop playing like y'all don't understand realities of life. The church has to do more. I played this video because when I watched it, it struck me, and I felt like these preachers were leaning in the wrong direction, even though I'm recognizing that their complete message, their complete responses may have been chopped off in this video. I encourage you all to go watch the full video, ingest it. If I'm wrong, then come back to me and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I misunderstood something and I didn't get a thorough understanding of what was trying to be conveyed, because I took this short clip that they used to market the video and I haven't watched the entire video. There's only so much we can get from 3.5 minutes. But I think the video was rich, even in 3.5. It told you church was historically a place where folks went and got job skills. Can you imagine? And here's a problem with that. And I'll say this and I'm going to let y'all go. But imagine, historically, a church was a place where you could go and get job skills, because you weren't allowed at the segregated institutions outside of the church. So the church became useful as a hub in the community to get job training. You know what they did with that job training? Lord have mercy. They let go of that job training in exchange for government programs like Head Start, where the government said, we will send money to your church. Change those job training programs into a daycare for little ones. Just bring them in and let them run around. Now, don't teach them that Bible stuff, because this is not church. This is school. We have to have it separated from your sermons that you preach every Sunday. So this is just young people school for kids. Y'all just change their diapers and sing happy songs to them. And when we change our curriculum, you change your curriculum. So when we say you got to teach alphabet stuff, you push the alphabet stuff. When we say in your church dining hall where you have your school for these young folks, these Head Start programs, when we say you got to have the cross-dressing transgender reading hour, then you do it. Else we're going to cut this check off. They made the church dependent on government programs the same way they made your household dependent on government programs and told you, we going to come by once a month and make sure ain't no man's shoes up under that bed. He bet not be in here. And the black church fell for it. They fell for it. Because the preacher wanted a new Cadillac. And that Head Start program could fund it. And slowly but surely, year after year, generation after generation, the government crept into the black church and took control to the point where it is now fully beholden to the Democrat Party, because the Democrat is in control of those programs. And you don't want to be cut off, do you? Pastor don't want to, Pastor, P-A-S-S-A, Pastor don't want to get his government check cut off. Pastor don't want to lose that 501c3. It's the reality of the situation. So when I see cats like this come out and they sound like they lukewarm, bro, you sound like you don't want to lose that Cadillac. You sound like you got a Bentley payment due on the first of the month, sir. And here we are in 2024, about to see some things we ain't never saw before. Y'all about to face some things we ain't never faced before. It's about to get crazy. And when you can't depend on the man of God to stand on the word of God, and he talking about bending over because he understand that there's all sorts of people in the building. I don't like that kind of talk. Let me just be real as I can be. I don't like it. It don't sit well with me, Pastor. I don't like it. But like I said, y'all, don't take my word for it. You don't have to agree with me. Go watch the whole video and hopefully they can pontificate and extrapolate and tell you more about what they feel about the situation. Don't take my word for it. I tell people all the time, I'm not your preacher. I'm not your pastor. I'm not your bishop. I'm not your prophet. I'm just a dude who likes to complain about stuff on the internet. And I'm okay with that. Thank you, Nelson Wright, for your support. He said, for when you get these demonetized, because you know it's going to happen. It's already done, sir. Choir used to sing a song. It's already done. Yes. Thank you, Nelson. I appreciate your support and for being a loyal member to the channel, a faithful supporter. Thank you so much. Yeah, we demonetized tonight. I think I said some things they might not agree with. But this platform allows me to speak the truth. I wish these pastors could speak the truth, but a lot of times they have things at stake that cause them to be compromised. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but I've seen enough in this old church. Y'all, I've been in church all my life. I've seen enough to understand the reasoning why they do certain things. I don't agree with it, but I know why it happens. And sometimes I think I may be guilty of seeing too much, but that's my path. That's my burden to deal with. And y'all pray for me because I've seen a lot in this church. I've been close to some really powerful, influential preachers. It has influenced my position on some things, but it has not influenced my faith because I understand at the end of the day, they just men just like me. Yes, Nelson. He says, I'm a preacher, teacher, worship leader. I remember. I ain't forgot. I got you, bruh. I appreciate that. I appreciate your position. I appreciate your input. I appreciate your take on all of this stuff. Because of your position, you bring a unique vision to what we're trying to put out here. And I appreciate your support. Y'all, I think that's all I got tonight. We're going to stay in prayer for the Black church in 2024 because there's a part of me, if I just keep it a buck with y'all, there's a part of me that doesn't know if these churches going to survive. I think the weakest among them may have already fallen off during the COVID lockdown. Some of them never came back. But some of these others are going to face such an onslaught during this political season. They're not going to know how to handle it. They're not going to know what to do when people start marching through your parking lot and your church property talking about ceasefire, free Palestine. They're not going to know what to do. When the Roe v. Wade activists come out and start attacking you and your faith, they're not going to know how to respond. Because they are unprepared for the battle that they are facing. And that's what I got from these preachers here in this interview, that they are unprepared. It's unfortunate. But that's where we are. Just an average man says, fight the good fight. Appreciate you, bro. I will. Bernie Miranda says, thank you for sharing. Love your content. Thank you for supporting each and every one of you. I'm telling you, y'all, we in a fight on them folks platform. They coming for us. We got over 400,000 subscribers to this channel. And I get messages every day. I get emails every day. Some of y'all even leave comments on the videos and say, you know what? I'm not seeing the content. Well, we don't control that. Unfortunately, when we on them folks platform, they show it to who they want to show it to. You can call it algorithmic. You can call it whatever you want. We understand what it is. We're putting out a positive message in the community, and some folks just don't want that message to get out. Can you imagine? They don't want the positivity to get out, but they want sexy red to get out. They don't want the word of God to get out, but they want Cardi B to get out to your kids. And you wonder why they come home looking crazy and talking crazy and hair getting shorter and shorter. What? Girl, we sent you away to college to get an education. What are you doing with these piercings in your face? And these tattoos and this colored hair? What is going on? We thought it was about the college degree. We thought we sent you to get an education. What are we paying for? Tanya Payne, I see you. Thank you so much. And I'm on that, y'all. My daughter just went back to University of California in Southern California. So you understand when you teach them something at home and they go out into the world and get bombarded with all these influences. We understand. We stay prayerful and we know that we taught them right. We know that the seed has been planted. Just an average man says they want evil to reign, chaos to be the norm. And it seems like chaos is becoming the norm. If you live in my state, y'all, I'm not even going to do it. I could pull up some videos right now of the Bay Area, y'all. Just folks who decided to get in a car with a camera or walk around downtown Oakland with a camera, drive around San Francisco with a camera, and y'all see what's really going on out here in the streets. This is California, y'all. They say as California goes, the nation goes. I hope that is not true because we got tent cities everywhere. We got tent cities surrounding the state capital of this state. You can't make this stuff up. I'm not going to rant on y'all tonight. I save my rants for Sunday mornings, y'all. Be here with me when I grab a cup of coffee and I have my coffee conversations and I just let my mind flow. My old professor used to say, you get your coffee going so your synapses are firing. That's what we do on Sunday mornings, coffee conversations. I'll be here. But I hope to be back before you. I took a poll. Of my members, supporters of this channel, and they said they want me to go live several times a week. I am going to endeavor to do that, y'all. I want to find relevant stories. I don't just want to be on here for nothing. I want to be talking about something. Is that okay? I don't just want to be on here jaw-jacking just to be on here. I want to be talking about something and putting a positive message out that y'all want to share. Something that y'all want to like. I don't want you to do it just out of charity. I want you to be compelled to do it because I'm talking about something. Is that okay? Blue Sky's mom says she liked the lives. Bernie says yes. Okay, Bernie, I'm with you. Let's go then. Let's go. If y'all feeling it, I'm feeling y'all, and I appreciate the support. Y'all keep me going. Lisa Akins. Jaw jacking. I'm sorry. Did I go too far? I appreciate y'all. Look, we got it in tonight, y'all. I didn't even think it was going to be that long because I only had one story. I didn't want to stretch it out too far, but as you can see, it's past my dinner time, so I might be out there. Look, I'm looking out the window. The sun is still out, y'all. At 6:30, the sun is still out. I can get my bike ride in before I eat just to make sure I get my exercise. Let me go out and do my thing. I appreciate y'all spending some time with your boy. I've enjoyed it. I hope somebody was blessed by the things I've had to say, and I hope you go check out the rest of this video. Don't depend on what I got to say. Investigate for yourself. Always do your due diligence. And stay prayed up, y'all. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless.